it's one of the greatest group of young people I've ever been around, and I'm starting to get a little bit of experience behind me now. It's 20-some years, and that's to say a lot because I've been around some great young guys, and everything they have coming to them, they deserve it. That team fought through our last 2 ball games was the epitome of college football. You fought through adversity. You played 2 excellent teams coached by, I'm going to go back to the Alabama game, by Nick Saban, and a tremendously talented team, and then to go against Coach Stoops, who's one of the best coaches in the business, and had a great group, very experienced. I saw today in the paper how many experienced, the offensive line and the veterans they had. So my heart's out to our players. I know our coaching staff feels the same way, but this is as good a group of young people as I've ever been around. And I want to thank them for that.
Buddy, we'll go ahead and get started over here.
Congratulations, Urban. First of all, secondly, how much sleep did you get? And also, as you're hearing those names called out over there, the trophies, people like Red Blake and Grant and Rice, and you're a bit of a historian of the game. What did that make you feel like to know that you now have a secure place in history?
Well, it's very humbling, and the first thing when 2 years ago when it all happened, I really can't remember much about it. But I just asked the gentleman that gave us the MacArthur Trophy, and I said, I'd like to read about this because our name's on it now twice, and I think I owe that to them, and I'm going to read that to our team. And I am a big fan of college football. I think college football is the greatest venue going, and to think that our name is forever etched on that great trophy, it's my responsibility to learn more about it and make sure our players learn it because they're on it. And that's why we did that. If you ever come to Florida, our administration was good enough to put a lot of money into a front door or window to let people see the history of Florida football. It was never there before. And you walk in there now, and it's legitimate. It's one of the great programs in college football history, and we're going to continue to make sure that thing grows and grows and grows. So it is the best place in college football. Yes. This is going to be a little harder. There's not much difference than Nathan, my son, Nate, my son, and Tim. I mean, I love Tim. His family, he's everything. He's one of the. At some point, I'll probably say it and get blasted for it, but I think he's probably one of the best players ever put on a helmet. I don't know if he's the best quarterback. It's all relative, and in people's eyes, they can choose whatever they want, but. Here's what we do, and I'm going to do this. The one thing about Tim, there will be a very well-educated decision. I'm going to put him on the phone with people who I trust. I did that with Alex Smith. I've done that with some other players that have made some great decisions. So rest assured, and Gator Nation needs to know Tim will make the right decision. I have no idea what it is. We have, out of respect to Tim and his family, it has not even been discussed. I'm sure in the next 2-3 days it will. Tim will make the right decision.
Will Jack Del Rio be one of those people?
Yes, I'm going to ask Tim if you'd like to, but I have great respect for Coach Del Rio, and he's opened his program to us as we have opened ours to him. And so I have great respect for his opinion, and I'm hoping Tim will talk to him.
Coach, would you talk about your team's built on great recruiting, obviously. I know you're expecting a recruiting bounce, but have you already had contact with recruits? Have they been calling you and whatever, emailing you, so forth already this morning? And what kind of bounce do you expect out of this?
Well, we'll only have about 5 left. So we expect to close this thing. We just want to make sure it's the right 4, because usually recruiting classes are made with your last 4 or 5 that you pick up. The last week has been real good for Florida in recruiting. So yes, we were on the phone actually the day of the game, had many phone calls with top recruits, and then I've heard from several of them today. So this will be a tremendous boost. And then obviously the celebration on Sunday. And I made a comment yesterday, what Florida has to offer, young man, let's go. Let's compare us against any other school, and academically, lifestyle, the location, It's going to be good. We're going to have a very good recruiting class.
Urban, Len Robbins, the New York Post. If I recall correctly, when you won it 2 years ago, you felt like you had a great team, not necessarily a great program. I think you might feel a little bit differently now, and what I'm curious about, although I don't want to put the dynasty word in your mouth, do you feel Florida is poised to make that kind of a statement?
I'm not sure what dynasty means. I'm very confident now. I wasn't 2 years ago, and that's why I made that comment, that we all saw what was coming. Our coaching staff knew exactly. If those young guys decided, those young players made a decision to come out early, the 4 guys on defense, that means we lost basically your entire defense, and we knew the backups were not ready to play. So deep in my heart, when I knew Brandon Sadler came in to see me 2 days after the championship, I'm going to go to the NFL and Ryan Smith, and my stomach, I had that feeling. I go, boy, here we go. We're going to have a hard time stopping anybody. I don't feel that way this year. I feel like I see some good young players. I see a recruiting base that's solid. I see a program that's set now. We're good. I didn't feel that way 2 years ago. I felt that was just an unbelievable effort by some very good players in a 21-group senior class. This is a 13-member senior class. Next year is going to be a very good senior class, but behind them's another group. We don't have that void, is my point. 2 years ago, we had a 2-year void in recruiting, and it showed. Certainly showed last year in the bowl game.
Urban, I'm wondering if there's been, I was thinking back to the day you were introduced as coach and you came out and you kind of were looking at the stadium and smiling, and could you envision what's going on? Has there been a lot of reflection for you in the 12 hours since the game's been over?
Yeah, there's more this time than 2 years ago, because 2 years ago was just we're running from here to there, and once again I knew what was coming. So do we take junior college players to fill this void and the panic that our program was in? I want to make sure, most importantly, I want to make sure our players enjoy this and our coaching staff. I have the best coaching staff in America. I want to make sure they enjoy this, and I'm in awe of Florida. I really am. I was in the 90s when I watched them play. Now that it's our program and we're playing, and our players are doing what they've executed the last 2 or 3 years. I walk in that stadium, and I told Jeremy last night, every once in a while when I'm having a bad day, I'll walk in the stadium and just stand there and stare at that wall. And it's got to be one of the great walls in college football history, and to know that our team is forever a part of that. It's a little bit like those bricks we put in there for the All-Americans. I mean, that stadium, we're not done with that stadium. We're going to make that the kind of place that everybody walks in, and it just kind of takes you take it in, and you're in awe of that place. And we're going to make sure that we do that right. From the Emmitt Smiths to Jack Youngbloods to the Chris Leaks to the Tim Tebows to those players are going to be treated like they're supposed to be treated.
Urban, can you tell what happened in retrospect between last year's team and this year's team, since you have spoken of this year's team with so much affection, how much more they bought in and how that happened?
Just great people. It's a people business, college football. It's not X and O's. I actually get a kick out of it when I hear about the gurus and the West Coast versus the spread, and that has absolutely zero to do with winning football games. And I love when I hear that. It's a people business, and this team, I don't want to get too much into last year's team, but this year's team was as far superior than most teams we've been blessed to have in the last several years. The 04 Utah team, the 06, but the way the 06 team finished, and really pretty much this way the entire season went with this outfit. That's as good a group of young people I've ever been around. And it comes from maturity. It comes from, I like to credit Mickey Marotti. I like to credit our OSL staff and certainly our assistant coaches. And our big pregame talk, we show a highlight video on basically Saturday morning, Thursday morning or Thursday right before we get on the bus, and I'll address the team. And the discussion we had right before the game, before we got on the bus, was this is not, hey, boy, this is kind of neat how it's good fortune, the ball bounced your way and the stars aligned right. This has been a work in process for many years. When our staff got together, we had a vision what our offensive line is supposed to look like, act like, and play like, and we got them. We had a vision of what a quarterback that should look like, act like, and run the offense, a group of receivers, a tailback, or running back position. You look on defense, two corners that, in my opinion, are the two best corners in maybe in college football. That's a strong statement. But my point is that Then you also flip in a returner, punter, and a kicker, and a long snapper. So this is not one of those, boy, this is kind of neat. It's good fortune that the way you guys are playing. It's not. And I wanted our guys to understand, everybody's going to go their own ways, like Reggie Nelson's of the world. You might not ever get another chance to play with guys like this again. Make it count. And they certainly did.
Urban, you mentioned last night that you really didn't enjoy the first time 2 years ago, and you mentioned rebuilding and all that kind of stuff. Were there any other ways that you didn't enjoy it 2 years ago that you're going to enjoy this one? And also another question, as far as your players that might go to the NFL, might go pro, do you think they might be influenced as to what they saw Billy Donovan's kids do, want to come back and defend their championship?
That's a good spin. I might use that. That's good. I'm glad you brought that up. The first part about the enjoyment, I'm a big family guy, and I'm a big coaching staff person and a player person, so I want to make sure our guys, and I've already met with our strength coach, and I'm not sure how we're going to do that. It just felt like 2 years ago it was, the game was over, bang, classes starting, that's all going on now as well. But I'm gonna force myself and our staff to really get some time with their families and do some stuff together so we really enjoy this thing. As far as the guys coming back, that's going to happen here in the next few days, and in all honesty, I'm not going to start using angles because I don't want to ever influence a guy to make a decision. It's whenever you make a life-changing decision, where with place of employment, having a family, getting married, all those big decisions you have to make. You put it all on the table and you make sure you're doing it for the right reason. And I know the good thing is, I couldn't say this 4 years ago now. Guys are making decisions without my input, and it's some uncles told me to do this, and my peoples can get me in the second round. I'm looking to go, what peoples are you talking about? The peoples they're going to be talking to really can advise them. And like I said, I love this team because they're very professional. So Brandon Spikes, Percy Harvin, Tim Tebow, Jermaine Cunningham, Brandon James, those guys all make the right decision. I don't have any idea what it is yet, but it's going to be the right way, and that's family, coaches, and people who know what they're talking about, not some guru that some peoples. That will not be part of the discussion.
Kelly?
Sorry. Urban, what moments from the third and fourth quarter of Tim's play will you always remember?
Well, I saw it last night. Obviously, I just parked myself in front of ESPN for, 4 hours I had, right, Danny? The third down and 11, where he pulled it down and he hit, and I saw his leg drive and get that extra 2 yards. How many guys can do this? And he got hit, made a guy miss, hit two people. And his eyes, as he was going down, he looked over and knew exactly where that yard marker was. Then the other play was when he scrambled and hit Riley Cooper, who dropped his pad. Those are the two plays on offense. On defense, that play by the two interceptions, the one by Ahmad Black that just completely took it right away from the guy in the game changer. We're up by 3. They're driving the ball, and obviously a prolific offense. And then the one down in the red zone where the ball was tipped around and Major Wright made the play. Those are the plays that I'll never forget about that game. And they were on highlights. It was a phenomenal effort.
Mike?
Yeah, Coach, you've won 2 national titles in 3 years now. I'm just wondering, do you think that sort of thing could ever get old to you, and then you might look for a new challenge? And you know a lot of NFL coaches like Bill Belichick. Could that ever be in your future?
I don't think so. I think the task at hand is I made a comment earlier that I really have a dream of what Florida should look like, and it's getting real close. There's still a lot of work to be done. The minute you start worrying about other things, you miss a recruiting class, you miss this great recruit, and that's not going to happen. I'm committed to Florida. I love Florida. More importantly, though, I love these players, and these players are going to get our best effort for a long time.